Okay. All right. Morning. You know what? We'll just kind of jump right into it here and get going for today. So what do we got?
Go Tim first.
Hey, Matt, thanks as always for taking the time. One guy we haven't talked about is Mohamed Sanu. I'm just curious how he's kind of come along the last couple weeks and if he's, asked to play a role, come up onto the roster. How confident are you that he's up to speed and can contribute?
Yeah. Mohamed Sanu's he's been awesome. I obviously competed against him for a long time, have the utmost respect for him as a player, competitor. Everything that he brings every single day has been great. It's been great to be around. And I think he's worked really hard, obviously just trying to learn as fast as he can in our system and really just learn the team and go out and work every single day. He's run some really good routes on the practice field. He's done a good job of helping us on both sides of the ball and helping the defense get ready in some situations and obviously stepping in on offense. So, I think he just is continuing to learn and just grow and just, really pleased where he's headed right now.
Thanks, Matt.
Yep.
Dave.
Morning, Matt. What are your expectations for what Matthew does at practice today?
I think we'll just kind of see how it goes when we get out there from that standpoint. He'll be out there and, we're just kind of taking it day by day, which is great. That's really good for us. It's a little bit of a, rest is good, but reps are good. So trying to balance that all the way out.
How much, because reps are good, how much has he thrown the football the last few days?
You know what? I'm not going to get into specifics of what he's done and what he hasn't done, but he's definitely, obviously the quarterback position is such a huge mental preparation game. Pretty confident in his skill set as throwing the ball. So right. It's about being able to see the picture, and I think Carolina. Honestly, they do some things defensively that are just different. They play some field and boundary looks, and they got some 3-down looks and some 4-down looks, and they mix in a lot of sub groupings. They play a lot of different, what we call dime and nickel packages. So from that aspect of it, that's really the biggest part right now for us is just to kind of, we don't really know this team very well, so we're studying very hard to learn the team.
That's sort of what Matt Rule said yesterday too. Just when you have a veteran like Stafford and Bridgewater, for that matter, that the mental side, that's. They can grasp all that stuff, and that's a big part of it. But I guess just one other thing on Stafford, because he played with the injury Sunday and he looked fine with it, is I don't know what's different a couple of days later. You know what I mean? Like, is there? I don't know if he could do it Sunday. Why can't he do it?
Yeah. Well, I think you just always are amazed at what guys can do in the moment. I think you always just stand there and marvel at that. And certainly with Matthew Stafford, you do that because sometimes things happen in the game and you're like, this guy's still going, it's unbelievable. But then, when things calm down, like we say, adrenaline is a beautiful thing. But when that stuff calms down, you want to be smart. You want to look at it and just, do the right thing.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Yep.
Mike.
Hey, Matt, how's it going? I'm curious a little bit. This kind of goes a little bit to last year, but also maybe what Carolina's going through. When Matthew got hurt and then you kind of had to throw David Blough in there, very much unproven. What do you learn by putting him in there for those 5 games that maybe you would have never been able to tell otherwise?
Yeah. It's a really good question. Jeff Driscoll too, putting him into action on both of those guys. But I think obviously, especially at the quarterback position, so much of that is going to be leadership and so much of that is going to be command. And certainly, talking about the guy that's going to touch the ball on every play. So from that, I thought it was, just great to watch those guys last year step in. I thought their teammates did a phenomenal job of walking into that huddle with those guys and supporting those guys when they were out there on the field. And, I thought those guys stepped up to the challenge. You saw the leadership come through. You saw the preparation. You saw the mental work that goes into, going out there and playing. But I would say this for the quarterbacks with Chase and David, they approach that like that every week, and that's really the mindset of those guys. I think it's just different than, if you're the 6th safety on the depth chart or something like that, where maybe there's a couple other moves that are going to happen. I think when you're a one position backup and that one position is the only, guys that are in that position, you have to prepare and be ready to go. And I thought those guys did a great job of it last year. I think Chase and David do a great job of it this year. But that's just the nature of the backup quarterback position.
And when you're trying to maybe prep for Will or Philip Walker, how hard is that to do, considering you don't have much to go on in either case? Like, are you watching a lot of XFL tape? Like, how do you prep for those guys?
Obviously, Teddy Bridgewater will be number one. But when you look at those other guys, we have a phenomenal scouting department. We have a lot of information on these guys through the course of the years of what they've been in the evaluation of who they are as players. And then you certainly will go through whatever tape you can find available and kind of get that assessment and see if, that still stacks up and is accurate to where they are now. And then from there, you try to obviously project how does it fit into the schematics of what they're doing offensively and, try to do the best you can to prepare for that.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Matt.
Yep.
O'Hara.
Yeah, Coach, just wondering about the Carolina's receiving tandem, Robbie Anderson and C.J. Moore. They're both almost the same yards, but they do it a different way, more with the big plays. What sort of, issues do they present? And also, they don't have Greg Owens, the tight end who's been there, was there forever, was even productive last year. Absent of him, how different are they?
Yeah, obviously different scheme here offensively, but
absolutely.
One of the most explosive offensive, skill set group in the league. I think they're top 5 as far as explosive plays. DJ Moore is, he's fast. He can go vertical. He can really get behind the coverage. And Robbie Anderson, we certainly know he can do that too. I think the thing that Robbie that's been impressive for me is to see his development. Obviously remember him back at the Jets, but his development now with his route running. I think he's doing a really good job of getting in and out of his breaks and, finding the space in the zones and really kind of working some of that stuff. But, speed is the first thing that stands out. And, don't forget about Curtis Samuel. This guy is kind of the Swiss Army knife of their offense, and he can go vertical. He can run over routes, and then he's going to be in the backfield and lined up in the home position. He's going to run the ball. So I think that's the one thing for them that you see right away is just the speed ability for them to really stress the defense. That's probably the biggest thing.
All right, cool. Thanks.
Yep.
Chris.
Morning, Matt. I know you've talked about Teddy Bridgewater a couple times this week, but I was just curious, kind of straightforward here. What makes him difficult to defend? What sort of things does he do well?
Yeah. Well, I think, first of all, his mobility is really difficult. And I would say more than just when he gets out into open space, he does a great job in the pocket. I think those are, quarterbacks that move really well in the pocket and kind of have that strength to kind of move around and not get pulled down by an arm tackle or knocked down by maybe some pressure from one side or the other. And his ability to kind of move, get into some open space and then redirect his eyes downfield. I think that's where he just becomes very dangerous. Now, look, he can take off and run, and then you got a bigger problem when he's in space. But I think that's the part to me that's just the most impressive is when he moves within the pocket, finds that, I'll call it that little open space for him to settle in and then get his eyes downfield and find his receivers.
And then Marv today had a piece go up on the Players Tribune just talking about the difficult year that he and his family have gone through. It mentioned in there how much it meant for him that you and his teammates were, reached out to him. I don't know how much you feel comfortable sharing about that, but just, curious what you remember about that time or, if you have any thoughts on it.
Yeah. Marvin Jones is an amazing person, and just my love that I have for him and the support, and I'm so proud of him for where he is now and the strength that to me is just it's amazing. And I don't as far as the last year just wanted to be there for him. You love a guy like Marvin Jones. He lights up a room every time he walks into it. So. From that standpoint, just, support him, love him, and just proud of him.
Thank you, Matt.
Yep. All right, Justin, last one.
I feel like after you directed our attention to Hayden Hurst a couple weeks ago, I really should be paying more attention to Curtis Samuel this week. But I did want to ask about Kenny Golladay. You guys have played it conservatively with both of his injuries, making sure something short-term didn't turn into something long-term. He returned to the practice field yesterday, and I'm just curious how he looked when he was out there and how he came out of that.
Yeah. Looked good. We're trying to get him back into obviously some formations and catching the ball and kind of some of those fundamental stuff. Really, I think that's where we're focused on right now is just fundamentals. We'll see what it looks like today. Certainly we know there's always the situations where when you haven't done stuff for a while and you go out and do something and the next day, just trying to be smart, I would say. And certainly for us, we're very conscious of the fact that we've got 2 games here back to back in close proximity of a timeline that, we're just trying to put all of that into the equation here as we work through it.
Is there something you need to see as the coach or the coaching staff needs to see, or is it strictly a medical decision with a joint injury like a hip?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I think really in general with all that stuff, it's kind of a collaborative conversation. We have a lot of different, called monitoring devices that we can kind of tell like when a guy's strength or speed or, heart rate, all that stuff is kind of back into the range of where they needed to have it in order to perform. And also to make sure we have enough sustained efforts in that range so that, so that when you get into a game that something doesn't, happen in an unpredictable way. And then certainly on top of that, it's just, getting back into, the football shape, football, routine of consecutive plays and, especially guys that have to run a lot, vertical, fast movement, skilled players, guys that do that. You just really want to be careful because you just don't want to throw them out there and, crank that thing all the way up without really knowing what you're going to get.
Thank you, Matt.
Yep.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks, everybody.
Okay. All right. Great. Have a good day.